if you remember from the Abbasids, they had a sneaky little plan to take over the Umayyads. Well, one, they weren't really happy with how they were governing, but then they decided to get all the emirs together and have that little dinner where they said, well, it's not really a dinner. We're going to kill all of you guys. One of the emirs, one of the governors escaped Abd al Rahman and went on to the Iberian Peninsula. The Iberian Peninsula, if you remember, is where modern day Spain and Portugal is, and it kind of touches up in there into France a little bit. The Umayyads had their caliphate here, a smaller portion of their caliphate, led by Abd al-Rahman. Um, this part of Muslim Spain, the term for this is Al-Andalus. So the term for the Muslim Spain in this area is called Al-Andalus. And a couple hundred years later, a descendant of Abd al-Rahman declared himself the caliph, right? So we have the original Abd al-Rahman that escaped, and then we have one of his descendants, Abd al-Rahman, declared himself caliph and claimed the Umayyads then ruled Spain. Um, Again, Al Andalus means Muslim Spain, and Al Andalus was under Muslim rule, but was shared by all religions, including Judaism and Christianity. During this time, there was an explosion of learning in this area. We're going to learn about all this stuff later on when we get to world achievements and things like that, because this was a pretty special place. There were Muslim scholars like Ibn Rushdi who influenced Western philosophers like Thomas Aquinas, who we're going to talk about later. Citizens enjoyed religious freedom, practicing their faith freely and openly, so nobody was persecuted. We're going to find that a lot of people, when we get to the next part, well, actually, when we get to the next unit, you're going to find a lot of people were persecuted because of what religion they were. During this time, they weren't. And then at the time of Abd al-Rahman III, there were 70 libraries with over 400 books. And we're going to talk about Cordoba later, but it was called the City of Lights because they had lighted streets back there back before electricity. 70 libraries with 400,000 books seems like, whatever. That's a big deal for back then. Remember, books were handwritten. They had to be collected, put together, handwritten, put in these libraries. So it's really kind of a special place. This last slide, you can look at some of the people that you could have found during that time. We have cartographers or map makers like Al Idrisi. We have medical doctors like Al Zawari. We have some Jewish philosophers, Maimonides and Gersonides, and other philosophers like Ibn Rushdi, which I talked about before. You can look further into these. You can read into this more if you'd like. We're really going to talk about Muslim Spain and during another unit and really go into some of the accomplishments. That's it. Don't forget, you got one more quiz. Get that one more quiz done, and then you're done with this part of the unit.